Hey everyone, this is Kansas Lone Man here, and today we're going to hear advice given to a college student that's graduating and wants to buy a house. Amazing, smart guy coming out of college, want to buy a house. That's incredible. I love it. The person that's going to be commenting is one of the most renowned people in credit, income, assets, like real estate, coaching people financially. You're going to be interested to hear what he has to say, and I'm going to have some pretty good comments to talk about too. Now listen up.
Matt is in Pittsburgh. Hey, Matt, welcome to the Ramsey Show.
Hey, Dave. It's an honor to be speaking with you today.
You too. What's up?
Well, I'm currently a 22-year-old college student. I'll be graduating here in the next couple months, and I'm looking to get out of my renting situation and purchase a home within the next year. I'm kind of lost on how to really save up for it, if I should be keeping all my income that I'm going to be having in cash, or if I should be investing it, and how much you recommend to put down on my first home purchase. I'm just kind of looking for some guidance here.
Cool. So what's your income, Matt?
Well, currently I don't have any, but I'll be starting a job in June that I'll be making $70,000 in my first year plus $10K in stock. But
all right, let's talk about this real quick. You all are like, how can he buy a house if he doesn't have a job? It's simple. And this is where you need to have a mortgage professional that you're working with help you with this. If you're going to school, getting a degree and getting into the job in your degree, that schooling is counted as job time. This guy's got a minimum of 4 years of job time sitting here if he goes into that job. Once he steps in the door, starts getting paid and receives a pay stub, he'll qualify based on that income, assuming it's either a salary or 40 hours a week. So again, smart guy. I don't know that he consulted anyone, but this is pretty smart. So make sure that you consult a mortgage professional first before you go out on a whim like this. Let's listen in to see what else they have to say to this guy, what they're going to advise him to do.
I'm pretty sure I don't get paid that until like a year and a half.
Okay. And do you have any debt right now?
I have a good amount of savings and personal investments, but I do have $9,000 left on a car payment.
Okay. And that's all the debt?
That's all the debt.
So what's stopping you from paying off the car today and freeing up that payment?
I was fortunate enough not to have to pay for my college because I got an athletic scholarship. So because of that, my dad, we bought a car together. Well, it's in my name, but we bought it together during COVID. So there's no interest on it. It was like one of those deals. I know you probably won't like hearing that, but I don't know. I just haven't put it as a first priority just because I don't really want to use my, I have about like 11,000 in savings right now. And
all right, let's stop there and make a comment. He has a vehicle with 0% interest. So in other words, he bought a vehicle, has no money. Maybe he's paying his dad back. I don't know. Don't pay it off. Keep that money in savings. Make payments on that thing. It's 0 interest. Put it on a budget, make payments on that, and use your other money to create assets, to create a savings, or maybe even to buy that house and budget out everything. I don't know why you would pay that thing off if you have 0 interest. Why not make a payment arrangement on it and pay that thing monthly and make it part of your budget? You're not paying any interest on it. But hear what these guys have to say. I don't agree.
Kind of don't have an income these next couple months, so I've just been avoiding it, I guess.
How much have you got in personal investments?
Around 17.
Okay. And is that in a retirement account?
No, it's actually in individual stocks and basically all stocks and a little bit of cryptocurrency.
Okay. Well, Matt, I'll tell you what we teach, and this is the process I followed to get through all the baby steps and now with a paid-for house. Baby step 1 is a $1,000 emergency fund. Baby step 2, we pay off all of our debt using the debt snowball method, and that includes the car. Baby step 3, we get 3 to 6 months of expenses in an emergency fund, and then baby step 3B, we start saving up for the house. And so that's where that would fall in. And so you're not quite there yet. You could be if we released these investments, cashed out, and started doing things a different way. But it sounds like you're good with Matt's plan, which is fine. But if you're going to buy a house, here's our parameters for it in that 3B. I want you to save up 10 to 20% for your down payment on a 15-year fixed mortgage. That should be your only option when it comes to mortgages. And your payment on that should be no more than a quarter of your take-home pay. And so you can jump onto our mortgage calculator at RamseySolutions.com and start playing around with those numbers.
Oh, boy. All right, let's talk about this right here. Okay, did the math on this guy's $70,000 income, and 25% is a $1,450 $1,458 actually per month that will go for a mortgage, including taxes, insurance, and all that. If you're looking at a 15-year note, that's about $110,000 house. What? You can't buy one for that. Cracker box in a bad area, maybe? I don't agree with doing 15-year notes because you can actually escalate your payment to pay it off in 15 years. The reason that it's being taught to do is because instead of teaching people how to own their money, they're taking that away from them and saying, you don't have to be disciplined, put it on a 15-year note, and then you don't have to worry about it anymore. The problem is, can you buy a house that you can live in for that? I totally don't agree that you can. I'm not agreeing with paying more for a home, but I'm looking at what kind of house is going to suit you that's not over embellishing your budget. Let's look at what your budget is. What is your monthly budget? What do you think you can spend on a house monthly that's good? I don't have a problem with 25% rule, but let's be realistic about what we're buying with that. You can either buy a $100,000 to $10,000 house, or you can buy a $170,000 house. And I'm not saying to do that. I'm saying that let's be realistic on what you can buy or what you're supposed to buy and putting money down and that sort of thing. Because I think we're going to run into some serious issues with trying to do what they're asking him to do. And if there's not a problem with doing that, but it's going to take him a few years to get in that position at $70,000 a year if he's paying rent and doing all of that, which defeats the purpose of what he was wanting to do, which is buy instead of rent. Now, let's go back and listen up.
See, hey, in the Pittsburgh area, for a reasonable house for me, for my first house, what do I need to do? Okay, I need to save up $70,000 in order to get this house on a 15-year fixed rate where the payment's no more than a quarter of my take-home pay.
Gotcha.
And Matt,
Once I pay off the car, sorry, what was that?
Go ahead.
So once I pay off the car and save enough to put 20% down and my take-home pay, it's my monthly payment's a quarter of my take-home pay, then I'm good to go.
On a 15-year. Yeah, and you could.
You catch that? Save up 70 grand. That's his yearly income. How's that? How long is it going to take him to do that? So what you're saying is you're going to rent for the same amount that you could buy a house for in that area. Talking about the Pittsburgh area, I bet you that rent's going to be as higher than what you're going to pay for a house that fits that 25% label. And you're going to be doing that for a number of years versus owning a home. I'm not sure I like that scenario, but let's keep listening and see what happens now.
I mean, today, if you paid off the car, you'd still have money left over for your emergency fund, and then you can start to save up for this down payment. We just got to start doing things in the right order so that you feel this progress.
Gotcha.
Okay, let's go back to this. Listen, Linda. Not paying any interest on that car. So if you keep your money in an interest-bearing account at 4%, a savings account, 3 to 5%, because you can get some high-yield savings right now, you're actually making money on that money versus paying it out and getting nothing for it. Why would you do that? That interest would make part of that payment for you, and you still have your original balance. He has zero interest on that car payment. So I totally disagree. I think that's a definite faux pas. I think what they're talking about doing in theory is great. However, in certain circumstances, why in the heck would you spend money that you're making money on to pay something off that you're not paying any interest on? It just makes no sense to me. And I think if you do the math on the money, it's not going to make sense to you either. Being out of debt does make sense. At this instant, this really isn't a debt issue. This is I want to make money with my money issue. 0% interest. Absolutely use someone else's money for that every time instead of extending your own. Just be smart with how you use it. Don't overextend it. When you have that money in the bank making money for you, use that to make the payment. Put it in your budget. Be smart, be disciplined, and learn. Don't just set things up so you don't have to learn. Set it up to be an adult and learn how to use that money. Now, let's keep listening here. I think you'll find it interesting what they have to say.
Oh, here's the thing. You've listened to this show, I can tell by the way you're responding to some of these things. And you kind of knew what we were going to say, didn't you?
Yeah, a little bit.
All right. And so here's the data, the actual facts, not theory, not a Ramsey opinion, but the actual facts. We did the largest study of millionaires ever done in North America, 10,167 of them. The number of them that became millionaires using Bitcoin was precisely 0. The number of them that used single stocks playing a day trader game was under 5%. In other words, 95% of them did not use your plan.
Right.
So you need to decide if your plan sucks as bad as I think it does.
Okay, come on now, buddy. Come on now. Okay, this guy is not in a position to want a financial planner to handle his money. So he's put it into some stocks. He's put it into some crypto. and he's doing okay with it. Now, we're not talking about him becoming a millionaire in his retirement. We're talking about him saving for a house. So the script got flipped there somewhere, and I'm not sure how. We're talking about saving money for a house. We're not talking about the other. Now, if you've got that in a safe place that you can get to it and you're making money on it and there's not a lot of risk on those stocks, why wouldn't you keep it there and make money while you're planning on saving up for the house? Clearly, you're going to use that for the house. Now, if yours is going to be your savings, pull it out, putting it into high yield savings or a CD that you can get to, that you can keep your hands on. I like money in my chubby little fingers, so I don't have a problem with that. But to throw out there this millionaires thing makes no sense at all. This kid is not talking about This man is not talking about becoming a millionaire. He's talking about saving for a house. So his plan, they're talking about two different things here. I don't necessarily disagree, because I do think that you should have that money in a financial planner's hands, and you'll do a lot better with it if you want to become a millionaire. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about somebody wanting to buy a house. So let's coach them on how to buy a house, guys. Let's not coach them on how to retire. We can talk about that too, because he's that age that you need to talk about it, and you can set them up to have a good cash flow monthly to be able to do that. But let's set them off right and take the right perspective about what we're trying to do here. Again, I don't disagree with some of the concepts. I do disagree with bludgeoning someone with something they're not even asking or talking about. But let's listen in and see what else they have to say here, and then we'll talk some more.
Well, would you recommend cashing out of my individual stocks and crypto and keeping that all in cash?
Apparently, that's what I just told you.
So don't invest that in anything else. Keep it sitting in cash up until I'm able to.
You need an emergency fund of 3 to 6 months of expenses, and you need to be debt free, paying off that stupid car by the end of the day. And then you start building in cash your down payment on your house. And then when you get your house, you start putting 15% of your income away into good growth stock mutual funds in your 401k at your new great job. And you're going to be a millionaire doing that by the time you're 35.
You're going to be a millionaire putting money in your 401? Did I hear that right? Ooh, buddy. Okay, well, let's talk about this real quick and get this guy prepared to buy a house. Leave the car alone. You're not paying any interest on it. You do need to have a monthly payment on that car, and it needs to fit within the budget. It allows you to buy the house and have that car payment because it's not costing you anything. Leave your money where it's going to make you money, okay? Pull the money out of those stocks, pull it out of the crypto, put it in a high yield savings, because that's going to be your backup plan. That's going to be your 6 months reserves. We're talking about, to round it up, a $1,500 payment. So if we do the math on $1,500, 6 months reserves is $9,000. He's got that, doesn't he? Hot dog. Instead of paying a car off that has zero interest coming out, why not use that $9,000 and put it in an account, and that's your backup plan. Now, $17,000 he has in the crypto stuff. I keep in investments. I don't remember how much he had in the front end, to be honest, but that leaves him about $8,000 that he can use to help hopefully buy a house. Now, if you're going to buy a $150,000 house, 30-year note, by the way, guys, not 15. There's no reason to do a 15. You're not going to be able to afford anything for that. It's not going to get you into a house. And so instead of paying $1,500 in rent, buy a $160,000, $170,000 house for $1,500 a month. Use the money, which would cost you $6,000 to $7,000 to purchase that home, by the way. And how much did he have left over out of cashing out? $8,000. This guy's ready to buy a house and have 6 months still in the bank. And at $70,000 a year, because he's been living on nothing, this guy's probably got a pretty good budget. Probably can budget the snot out of stuff, for lack of a better term. So we're looking at having $5,800 a month. Well, he's got to pay taxes on that. So he's going to gross out about $4,400 a month, doing some math on this, approximately $400 to $4,400 a month. And that leaves him 25% of his budget, which is $1,000 to buy a home. Stretch it to $1,000 to $1,200 because of everything going on in this. If you're using gross income versus net income on a 30-year note, that would allow you to buy about a $150,000 house. Okay, 130 to 150. If you go on a 15, you're jacking that thing down to $90,000 to $100,000 home, which you aren't going to be able to afford. And so rather than paying $1,500 in rent, buy a house for $150K. You may not be able to do it for $150K, honestly. So then we work into gross income. The truth is, though, you're talking about $1,000 to $1,400 a month that you could use to buy a home, and you're ready right now, my friend. Right now, you're ready to buy a house and still have 6 months reserves in the bank, which most people don't have. So I think at this point in your life, set up that 401k, I think that is very smart to do, but also set up a financial planner once you've got your budget set and you've got everything in place that you need. Have that car payment put into your budget because you're not paying interest on it. Don't pay it off. Make a car payment on that. Set up a couple $100 a month to pay that until it's paid. I mean, good grief, that's free money. Use the free money. You could buy a house right now instead of having to rent and own the home, so that in 5 years, which it would take you about that much to save up 20%, honestly, in this day and age with everything going on, 5 years, I mean, you're still talking about that's $15,000 a year to save up enough to do that. It would take you 5 years to do it if you're living. And actually, who puts away $1,200 a month extra? If you have no other debts, it's possible with a single guy. You can do that. However, why wouldn't you just buy the house now? You're still going to be putting that amount of money away in your budget if you've budgeted for that. And you could actually be investing more in your 401. You could actually have a nice savings. You could actually put it with a financial planner. And in 5 years, think about the type of money that you could have if you're saving up that much money, like $15,000 a year. In 5 years, that $15,000 could be 25,000 with a financial planner. So let's be smart with our money. Sorry, guys, I totally disagree with what you've just coached this guy to do. If you have zero interest money that you've borrowed on, leave it. Leave it. Set up a payment plan to have it paid off in a reasonable amount of time within your budget, and use your money and buy a home today. Because, buddy, you step out of that school, you walk into that job, I can get you into a home instead of you having to pay rent for 3 to 5 years. And then you can exercise your plan of being debt-free versus that car, because that's not interest money. It's really not much of a debt if you're not paying interest on it. Now, is it? You could have it even paid off in a year if you wanted to with the money that you're saving, because you decided to buy a house now. How smart is that? So make sure that you're talking to a mortgage professional that knows the numbers and understands money and wealth and understands planning, because you could buy a house today and you may not even know it yet. So are you ready to buy a house? Heck yeah, buddy. You just might be. If I could talk to this guy, we would have him in a house by August. Absolutely. And he'd be happy to do it. Thanks for listening, everybody. More to come. Hey, if you enjoyed today's video, you're going to enjoy the next one's coming too. Click here. Pow.